The shining feature of the movie from its technical side is the integration. Character to character, character in background, and character within environment.
In a realistic live-action setting. In other words, we have photographed this movie and then put in our digital characters.
Creating a scene that looks like you just filmed it. You just went out there and filmed it.
That issue of interactivity with the environment and the world could only be done the way we did it, which was CG characters, live-action backgrounds, and then enhancing it with more effects elements to bring those two worlds together.
Everything started out with drawings and paintings.
After the storyboards were complete, and we knew what part or how we were going to tell the story, we needed to find a location that would work for that particular scene.
The location crew would go out and capture the background, actually do a very intensive survey of the location so that we could build a virtual set.
We'd scout the world over, find that right location. They would take pictures of this. Those photographs would then come back and be used as reference, and our digital modeling crew would build virtual sets in the computer to replicate the environment that the characters were going to walk on.
We would bring that into what we call a 3D workbook. Now, a 3D workbook is something that we created to give the directors in all departments, including live-action shooting, a sense of what the scene was going to be.
A very rough, sort of three-dimensional kind of moving blocks.
That really gives you an idea in 3D space what you're actually designing. Camera moves, how much the animal takes up space-wise in the scene. It gives you a better idea than story sketch because it goes through the whole scene.
Make them look good, son.
Come on, Yar. With my charm and your brains, no problem.
Then they actually went and shot those camera moves in the real place.
They would take a copy of the workbook with them and use that as the blueprint for all of the live-action shooting.
We're able to extrapolate a lot of real-world information, like the focal length of the lens, the distance from the camera to the characters, and then we kind of fudge it a little bit one way or another to get pleasing composition and stuff, but always keeping in mind the technical requirements of the shot for the animators.
And now footage comes back. It's a cliffside, it's a river flowing. You had to imagine the characters would be inside it.
Some of the tricks we used was to try and keep the camera height roughly around normal human eye height. Not every shot. We dropped it right to the ground and dug holes, and we perched it up on top of cranes for dramatic effects.
Then I think the motion of the camera is something that we worked on, not only from the Dino Cam, which is something Neil Crepola and Steve Kosakur put together to give some very dynamic motion.
Well, Dino Cam was kind of a long-term desire of mine.
This is essentially a cable cam device, but it was homegrown and built specifically for our movie. It allowed us to fly a camera through the environment as fast as the dinosaur would be walking or running.
It's a 1,000-foot run. You can bring the camera from ground to 50 feet above. If you have the towers up higher, we actually mounted it on the side of cliffs on one side, so we could go up and down doing the shot, 35-mile-an-hour top speed, 360-degree pan and tilt. You could also use the computer that was driving the camera to set off little events along the way. If you're chasing a dinosaur, it might have a big air cannon at that point. You know where you want it to go off, and you can get it within a frame.
A lot of people ask us, why in heaven's name did you go to so many different locations to make this movie?
In the opening 6 minutes alone, we have been to Venezuela, Australia, Western Samoa,
Florida, Hawaii,
and Southern California. And we make it all look like one place.
But the idea was to create the prehistoric world. And so the juxtaposition of one environment to the next, one extraordinary kind of foliage to a cliffside, to a sky from here, to a lake bed from there, by taking those images from all over the world, whether you're in Samoa or Venezuela or Hawaii, or right outside of Los Angeles at the Arboretum in Santa Anita, it's the juxtaposition of images that allowed us to create the illusion of a prehistoric time.
had a period of time that we had the live action crew to shoot the plates. Once that was done, they were gone, yet we still had background plates to create. And that's where Christy Maltese, who was head of backgrounds, really came into big play.
This is what the directors want. The location scout goes and finds it. Location crew goes out and films it, comes back to me, and then I chop it up and put a mountain over here and a mountain over there, and I take a tree from there and rocks from someplace else.
Scene finally is putting it all together.
Light them for whatever the lighting environment was, paying attention to key continuity, in other words, where the sun was supposed to be as opposed to the previous scene or whatever following scene.
What you do is you design a lighting a palette or a lighting scheme for the scene. As you can see by going through this, begin to kind of vary what it takes to be able to get him a little bit closer to fit into that world.
Get on! We're gonna get left behind!
There might also be bounce light if he's the character is on grass. There might be a little green coming down. If it's the middle of the day, there's some blue coming down from the sky.
Ground bounce that would be caused from the key light itself. A camera light to make sure that there's no kind of empty black holes. A sky top to be able to give more of the ambient glow from up above. And a bottom light to be able to kind of, again, simulate ground bounce and trying to minimize the amount of areas that it would be coming in from. Really helped make it a lot easier for the characters to feel like they were real because you were already putting them in a real-world environment.
Aladar, slow down!
On a very simple, the most simple shot we'd have, it might be a sky backing and a character's face over it because you're looking up at them slightly.
If we don't keep moving, they'll catch up to us.
Taking the character with all of the skin, taking the shaders, which is the language that would give us the scales and the color, bringing the camera in, bringing the sets in, and then all of the other layers, which might be some of the dust in the effects, until all of them blend to give you the sense that the overall scene is shot at that very moment.
I can't reach!
The miracle is that it all comes together.